Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're in Automobilista 2. Now the variety of cars that are available in AMS2 is vast, and there's lots of different things that you wouldn't normally find in other sims out there. So today we're going to unearth some of these hidden gems that you may or may not have tried within AMS2, and there's 5 of them that we're going to look at in this video. So let's get into number 1 right now. Okay, so this is car number 1. This is the Formula V. Now there's 2 versions of this car. We have this one, which is the standard version, and then you have one with a shark fin on the back. As you can see, we have treaded tyres. We are running a very low capacity, low power VW engine in the back. Very simple basic suspension, as you can see on there. It is very much an average basic single seater. So what's it like to drive on track? Well, the answer to that question is simple. It's awesome. It is so fun to drive this thing. What I would liken it to is the Skip Barber in iRacing. It's a similar kind of setup with the treaded tyres, low power, etc. And it makes for some fantastic racing. Especially on a short circuit like this one at Taruma here, where the corners come up at you a lot quicker than you would do, say, on a long Grand Prix track when you could be spending the entire back straight for the rest of your life. But on a short circuit like this, when the corners come up at you, you're forced to drive corners more often. That's when the real enjoyment kicks in. Because when you get this car dancing into a corner, like that for example, the back end starts to come round, and just encourages you just to apply a little bit more foot, just drive the car out of the corner. It's just so good. Last corner here, a little bit of a brake. Scrub a little bit of speed, not going sideways then, but try and get back on the power as early as possible. So what this really teaches you to do is maximise your corner speed. So you've got to hit your apexes every time. You've got to ensure that you're getting the power on at the right point and driving the car off the corner to maintain that speed down the straights, because you don't have the power to compensate for too much oversteer on the exit of a corner. You really do need to be aware of how you're driving the car off the corner to maximise your lap time potential, which makes it a very useful tool for learning how to race and learning how to drive a car quickly. Only the 4 gears in this car, which means you don't change gear very often. This means that you have more time to focus on your throttle application, your brake application, generally learning how to drive the car as quickly as possible. But when the car moves around like it does, the miles per minute rating is through the roof. It's just so good. Let's try and get a better run out of here this time. That's a bit better. Use the curb on the exit. But yeah, it makes for some epic racing fun. Even if you're on your own on track, you can enjoy driving it, but it's better with cars on track as well, because then you have something to race against. But awesome fun and well worth checking out. So, what about car number 2? Sticking with VW power for our second car of choice in this video, this is the Copa Fusca car, also known as a VW Beetle. This is running in the 1 make series, so all you're going to be racing against is the same car on this one. It does appear in other categories within Automobilista 2 in various different guises, but this is the 1 make series running this particular car. Again, low power, low grip, and basic technology going on here, so this should be fun to drive as well. And fun to drive, this certainly is. Now, we have a screaming flat 4 behind us, which sounds rather good actually. But the other great thing about this car is it is actually rear-wheel drive. Now, you may expect this kind of a car to be front-wheel drive and therefore make it not fun to drive, but no, it is rear-wheel drive, which means the back end slides around like anything, and you can just balance it with your right foot, which is just so rewarding. Very much a touring car version or a tin-top version of the Formula V that we just drove, but it does make for some great racing again. Down here it's the Vela Park circuit. Just kind of back it into corners everywhere. slightly slower car in front of us here. Let's see if we can clear him in this next few corners. But it's just so good to drive again because the back end is just so willing to come round on you. But it's also very controllable as well, which makes it very rewarding when you do get it right. So down to the first chicane here. This is just awesome. It's backing in there. So even though that was just wild, I still managed to somehow keep that heading in the right direction. But it's just so good. Again, it's a great training car if you want to learn how to balance a car on the absolute limit of adhesion. And just the 4-speed gearbox as well, again, so you're just left with the pure joy of driving the car. But definitely well worth looking into. The slower speed stuff like this, again, you're trying to maximise every possible bit of speed out of the car, even though there isn't that much speed per se. But you've got to just maximise everything. There's no room for going too berserk like I did at turn 1 last time around. So let's try and neaten that up a little bit and see if we can go a little bit quicker through here. It's just a little bit of a sideways drift on the way in, but plenty of power on the way out. But look at that, it's just constantly working the wheel, trying to balance the car and just keep it progressing forward at a good speed. I mean, this is in the dry as well. I mean, if you try it out in the wet, it's too far off track there, but if you try it out in the wet, this thing is even more fun because you really are on tippy toes just trying to keep the car controlled and going in a straight line. Or sideways, as it very much enjoys doing. But again, good racing to be had. Good slipstream battles again because of the unique shape of the Beetle, or the Fuska as it's called. But yeah, just epic fun and really worth checking out as well. So that's VW covered. What else is there that's good to drive? The third of our hidden gems in Automobilista 2 is not even a race car, it is this, the Chevrolet Camaro SS. Now bear with me on this one, I know it's a road car and most people like to drive race cars in simulators, but this is well worth taking a look at. We have 450 brake horsepower, over 600 Newton meters of torque from a great big V8 engine underneath the bonnet. But how does it stack up on track? Let's find out. Well, to be honest, it's an absolute handful. Because you got so much power, so much torque, and so little grip. You also have very limited braking ability, being standard road brakes, which makes getting the car slowed down after you've piled on all that speed very difficult. Right, okay, let's calm down. So, we're at Virginia International Raceway, which has a very good habit of bringing out the worst in a car, purely because there are so many corners that are just there just to upset the balance of the car and throw into that sort of gradient as well, like you have on the exit here, which just drops away from you. If there's any little nuances in the handling of a car, you will find them around here. Right, we got a straight to actually relax now. Okay, so this car then, yes, it's a road car, but when you're just driving this car on track, there is so much fun to be had just in pure driving joy, really, because you've got to learn how to control your right foot in a manner which doesn't upset the car, or you could just go absolutely berserk and give it a whole load of right foot all over the place. and it will happily oblige in providing oversteer for you to try and catch. But it is just epic fun because you're just sliding all over the place. Now we can't see into turn 1, so get on the brakes nice and early. Get it stopped if it can possibly get stopped, and then just apply a whole load of right foot just to somehow get that out of the corner. Big rumbly V8 under the bonnet as well. Makes a great noise. But just have these massive power slides everywhere. It's just all arms and elbows trying to control this thing. This is so fun. I'll do the S's again once more. This is where you can just feel the weight move left and right in a progressively larger slide towards the end. The great thing about Virginia International Raceway is that once you've managed to successfully survive through all that, you get to take a breath. But the Camaro is awesome fun. Really, you should try it, give it a go. Even if it's not racing and just driving laps on a track like this, doing like a track day. It's awesome. And if you survive, you feel like you are king of the world. And if you crash, you crash, and you just try again. Right. What other gems can we find in AMS2? Maybe ones that don't try and kill you all over the place. Okay, car number 4 in our hidden gems collection on Automobilista 2 is this one. It's another Camaro, in fact, but this one is a little bit different. It looks like it's gone through a car crusher and just pressed the sides in and squeezed it a little bit too much. This is an Aussie racing car, so it's a space frame chassis with a carbon fibre or fiberglass body shell made to look like a Camaro. It runs a motorcycle engine and a 6-speed sequential gearbox. It's a rear-wheel drive running threaded tyres. That sounds like a recipe for success to me. Well, they say that the proof is in the pudding. Well, what I can tell you is this pudding tastes amazing. We're at Adelaide, obviously being an Australian racing car, we had to bring it to an Australian racing track. But for a car that has very unique proportions, this little ARC Camaro is really nicely balanced actually. It's a very communicative little chassis to it. The front end's not too bad, there's a little bit of understeer then, but when you get through the corner, it just likes to slide nicely, just delicately on the way out, nothing too brutal like the other Camaros we saw. But being a motorcycle engine, it revs. I mean, it really revs. It's just screams all the time. It's flat out through turn 8, no problem at all. It's just so nicely balanced. Again, back end's trying to come round there, but easily controllable. It's not too bad on the curves. I was expecting it to kind of take off when it hits the curve and just kind of roll over because it's so narrow. But it doesn't. It stays on all its 4 wheels. This is so much fun. We actually drove this car in our recent stream where we tackled the Nürburgring just to see if we could survive, and we drove this car around the Nürburgring and it was so good. It's a really good combination, but around here on the streets of Adelaide it's fantastic as well, and it will go on any circuit you drive it on. It'll give you just as much of a smile on your face as it would anywhere else. Staircase section of the circuit, as they call it. very forgiving little car. But just so good to drive. Racing these things would be good fun as well. Yeah, some close racing to be had. You can follow cars nice and easily. Oh, so brave to do that just to try and keep it pinned and thread the needle. First gear for the hairpin. Touch the throttle just to bring the back end round. Taking a nice straight line into that corner just to set the car up. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, the final car in our collection of little gems on Automobilista 2 is this, the Rocco 001. It's a P3 category car, so it's a prototype car with a V8 engine in it, slick tyres, rear-wheel drive, etc. Now the reason that many of you may not have had a go with this particular car is when compared with the other cars in the category, which look more like standard prototypes as you would expect to see them, nice and sleek and aerodynamically designed. This thing in comparison looks quite a little bit like a tractor, so people might not be like, I don't want to drive that because it doesn't look very nice. But don't let looks deceive, because this car is in fact rather good. And to show you just how good it is, we're going to jump on track. The track that we're at to show you how good this car is the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Now, this car, as we mentioned, has slightly agricultural looks, but what it does have going for it is a fantastic amount of grip and performance. Now, compared to the other cars in this category, they are higher power, but they're also higher weight, whereas this one is a good 200 kilos lighter than the competitors, which makes it very agile and very good on the changes of direction. So it's very much a viable option. If you like prototype racing, this car in P3 is a really good option. See, we're gaining on this other car in front of us here. Let's get through Maggots and Beckets onto the hanger straight. Get a good run out of there, and the V8 engine just absolutely fires you down the hanger straight. No problem at all. A bit of a help from the draft there. Now the P3 category sits quite nicely with me because it's not high downforce and high power that it just feels like the car's on rails. It's enough power and aerodynamics to make it feel like a prototype car, but not too much to take away from the actual driving experience, with a little bit of oversteer to deal with and sliding of the car, so it balances out quite nicely. This car does feel like it's something which is like a home-built type project, something that someone's built in their own time, in their own garage, and kind of put it together to a series of rules, rather than a manufacturer-built car that's churning out, say, 50 cars a year. It has that little kind of charm to it, a bit of quirkiness about it, which makes it quite appealing, really, and quite an interesting option to drive. When you compare it to the other cars available in the class, it drives really, really nicely. So, Brooklyn's once more, into Luffield. You see the back end still trying to come around just a little bit, just to let you know that you are applying a bit too much power for its liking. But it's also very easy to drive on the limit, so when that back end does come round, it's very controllable, which is great. So why did we make this video then? Why are we looking at these obscure cars such as this? Well, quite simply, when you jump into a simulator for the first time, a lot of people tend to gravitate towards their chosen type of car, so whether they like Formula 1 cars or GT3, which is incredibly popular, or maybe even a touring car or some sort like that, that's what they'll go for. They'll jump and drive those cars and nothing else will going to look in. So really what we're trying to say is that there are other cars available within Automobilista 2, which, although it may not be the first port of call for an avid sim racer to try out, they really do need to be looked into a little bit more seriously and spend a bit more time with, because an awful lot of sim racing enjoyment to be had, driving these particular cars on track and racing them against others, and even the AI as well, which has had a good increase in performance recently. But that's the great thing about sim racing, there's so many different cars out there that you can drive, and there's so many good ones out there which unfortunately often get overlooked because they're not popular, let's say. But let us know, give them a try, let us know in the comments below what you think of these particular cars. If you haven't driven them before, let us know your thoughts on them. Are there any particular cars that you think don't get the love that they deserve? But if you've liked this video, please feel free to smash that like button, because it'll mean a lot to us as a channel to know that you guys enjoy what we do. And also, if you like what we do and don't want to miss any other videos coming out, please feel free to subscribe to the channel as well. But until next time, we will see you very soon.